Thank you for watching a new edition of This Week in Pro Football. Fidel Barraza with you alongside, like always, Walter Stringer. What's going on, man?
Crazy week, man. You fired up. I'm fired up. Both our teams lost. My team potentially could be missing out on the playoffs. Your team will miss out on the playoffs. And
Yeah.
we both got our bones to pick with some head coaches and some players and some GMs and everything. But how things going, bro?
I mean, better than the Raiders. So,
Well, outside of the Raiders, man. Don't let the Raiders fool
no, no,
you
no. I'm
that.
saying I'm doing better than them.
Yeah, of
But
course.
I mean,
We
they
all
do
doing
have
better.
they do have a lot of money. I don't. So I guess they're still doing better than me. Anyways, all right. A lot to get into tonight. So let's start off. Let's talk about the Monday night game between the Cowboys and the Raiders. Cowboys beat the Raiders 33-16, and it was a one-sided show. Prescott, big night, 25 out of 33, 268 yards, 4 touchdowns to 4 different receivers.
Yeah, Dak been balling, bro. It's not like we haven't seen Dak Prescott ball in the regular season before, but he looks really, really good this year. I can't even lie. Can't hate on him. The Pickens trade makes a lot of sense for them. It's made their off completely elite. They did go out and get Javonte Williams, former, I think, second-round pick of the Denver Broncos, one of my favorite running backs coming out of North Carolina a couple years ago. He's kind of resurrected his career when they
He's
didn't have
healthy.
any rushing attack at all. They got a really good offensive line. They drafted, 3 studs on the offensive line the last 3 years. Offensive line has always been an area of that team they've always drafted very well. They made 2 big defensive acquisitions in Kenny Clark and, of course, Quinnen Williams 2 weeks ago, right at the trade deadline. And they, like I said, they score a lot of points. A team like Dallas is dangerous moving forward to potentially the playoffs, potentially. Or even if you don't feel like Dallas is going to make the playoffs, they have at least a real good chance to play spoiler for a lot of teams, including my Lions in a few weeks on a Saturday night. But when you can put up a lot of points, even if your defense isn't great, you can put pressure on teams, especially teams that aren't built to come from behind. And we're going to talk about a team, my team for that matter, that's not truthfully built from behind. It's odd to be a quote unquote elite offensive team, but you're not built to come from behind, which I always figured to be a little strange. But more about the Raiders, though, because it's and I asked you before we started the show, what do you make of the George Pickens play where he caught the ball at the 25-yard line and essentially he ran a 4.7 to get to the end zone and nobody even thought about freaking touching him? There was no bad angles or lack of talent. I watched that. You watched that. I forgot who the guy was that was at the goal line. He put forth no effort at all to even pursue. Nobody put forth any effort to pursue. And I'm not a coach. I'm not a GM. I'm not a team owner. But that made me angry. I'm not even really a Raider fan like that, but watching that game last night, it made me angry. I know if I was a head coach, I probably would have told everybody to get the hell out of the building, period, because you can't rationalize as a player making that type of money and putting forth that type of effort on film. You can't even deny that in the
Yeah.
film room the next morning.
Yeah. I mean, look, defense didn't play good, but they played better than the offense. Geno Smith, I'm going to read you his stats: 27 from 42 for 238 yards, 1 touchdown, and of course, 1 interception. And that has been his story this season. He's throwing interception, making bad decisions. Ashton Genty, 6 carries, 7 yards.
Yeah, in regards to the Raiders' poor season, I'm not going to really blame him at all. I know what type of talent he is. And like I said before, when you put a really good running back, I don't care how elite the running back's talent may be, you put a really good running back behind a bad offensive line, no quarterback that can keep pressure on defenses through the air, no wide receivers, and all you essentially have is one tight end, one really good tight end, though. You don't have any protection for him. Now, even next year, like, I don't get what people really expect to see out of him. Is like bad teams draft running backs high and they have this idea that, okay, you're going to come in and save us. Be Adrian Peterson, be Steven Jackson, be one of these guys, be Bijan Robinson. And Bijan had a good offensive line. Bijan was insulated with good wide receivers, tight ends around him. He had 2 other running backs there to share the load with. It wasn't just all put on his shoulders, for that matter. But, the Raiders I just feel like they went about it all wrong. I never agreed with giving Geno that type of money at all. Even when Geno was in Seattle, he played with a pretty good team. But you can make the argument that the last time they made the playoffs, when they kept my Lions out the last game of the season 2 years ago, Geno was the reason they had that collapse down the stretch of the season when he started turning the damn ball over. And as a veteran quarterback, nobody's asking you to be Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, or whatever, even Dak Prescott this season for that matter. But you can't be a turnover machine. I don't care if you manage the game and you go 20 for 33, 194, one touchdown or whatever. I like that. I don't have an issue with that. I have an issue with the 2 picks. The three can't average an interception a game, bro. Not as a veteran quarterback at all. And you gave him this money, and it kind of felt to me like Pete Carroll wanted to get his guy another deal. Because he's not getting starter money nowhere else. Like once he's done with the Raiders, he's done.
Yeah.
So
And look, it might be after this year. I don't know. I know it's still in contract for a couple more seasons after
can't pay
this one.
everybody to go away though.
I mean, can you? Maybe. I don't know. I'm not a salary cap guy. I don't know what it looks like, but I'm just saying. But here's my other issue with this football team. Your offensive coordinator, Chip Kelly. There was a specific play in the fourth quarter. You're at the one, and then you decide to hand off the ball to Ashton Genty when your offensive line seems like they don't know where to go to block. Really? Is that what we're going to call? And of course, it was a safety. Game over.
Yep, you called the draw behind the offensive line that can't get any push and can't stand their ground. Like, and,
Can't do
and
it
that's
well.
the key thing about a draw. Like, your offensive line needs to be able to hold up long enough for the running back to get the ball and for the running back to get past the mesh point and get to the line. And, I don't know, bro. When it rains,
And
it pours.
I'm gonna keep it PG, but why does Ashton Genty only get 6 carries in a game? Why? Gino drops back and passes for 42. He attempts 42 passes, completes 27. This whole season, the offensive play calling has not been good. And if I'm not mistaken, he is the highest paid offensive coordinator in the league. I could be wrong, but I think he is. It's not working, man. It's really not.
Well, I think part of it is and teams have ran the ball on Dallas well this season, but it's probably a bigger indictment on the offensive line for the Raiders that they don't trust it enough to even run the ball on Dallas. Now, Dallas has brought in Kenny Clark as well as Quentin Williams, so they're not the same run defense they were earlier on in the season. But yeah, six carries for any running back for that matter is ridiculous.
But it's been a story the whole season. Well, for the Raiders offense, there has been games where Ashton does not get the ball a lot. For what reason, I don't know. And obviously, the highlight of the offense is Brock Bowers. 7 catches for 72 yards. He's a beast, right? Give him the ball more too. I just look, man. They're just bad football team. A really bad football team at this point. You got a head coach that is what 74. I know he's still on contract for another 3 years. I don't think that's going to happen. I wouldn't be surprised if after the season they decide to part ways. Chip Kelly,
Man,
I think he's gone.
no, I agree. I agree because you're looking at age thing. These older coaches, if you look at historically, when old coaches, not to disrespect Pete, but he is an old coach. When old
He's
coaches
uh,
decide to quote unquote see if I still got it and take these jobs, they don't take these jobs to rebuild. They don't take these jobs to be there for 3, 4 years. It's kind of like, let's see if I could win real quick with them. Damn, I couldn't. All right, well, I'm about to go back home. And now you're in a situation where those draft picks that he made, this is why you have to have a better gauge on your head coach and where his mindset is at, because they probably could have went quarterback year before last. They could have went quarterback this past year, traded up maybe. They could have went out and got maybe traded up for what's his name? Will Campbell, the offensive tackle from LSU. I still believe that if New England would have taken Genty at 4 and Will Campbell would have fell down, because you guys were at what, 7?
yeah.
Yeah. But then maybe not. Maybe Pete Carroll didn't view a left tackle as a win now
Well,
type of draft pick. I don't
well,
know.
you have Colton Miller there on the left, and I know he's hurt right now, but he's solid, right? So
No, he is, but Will Campbell is a stud. And I mean, if you're the Raiders, you got what's the name? The center you guys drafted from Oregon, Jackson Powers Johnson a couple of years ago. You got him, you got Colt Miller. You're in a situation where your offensive line is bad. You draft the pieces, the really good pieces, and you make it happen. Like, even listen, look at Gray Zabel for Seattle. Now, I'm pretty sure they didn't intend on taking a guard in the top 10, but Gray Zabel has been tremendous for Seattle.
yeah, it's played well.
Yes, like you could have had him. You could have had Will Campbell if you wanted to move up to get Will Campbell's. Like, you had an opportunity to do things the right way, but Pete Carroll went with a win now type of piece, a
He
running
did.
back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he did. And with no offensive line, it's a disaster to say the least in Vegas, man. And it's probably gonna it's probably gonna be a new coach next year.
Well, look at
And
New
and
England.
and
Reverse.
and also real quick, Pete Carroll's son is the offensive line coach. He should have been fired a month ago because they have been having these issues essentially all year long. And he's still on the coaching staff. I know that's his son, but now everyone essentially is under a microscope. Everyone, the whole coaching staff.
Well, I mean, the defense has put up some pretty decent efforts this season. Now, last night, not so much.
Well, I
But
mean,
this team
and,
was
and
missing
the
too
first
much.
quarter they did. I think it was a fumble. They recovered it. Weren't able to get in the end zone. They kicked the field goal.
No,
So
I get it. It's just you don't have the coach, you don't have the quarterback right now, and you need a bunch of pieces on defense.
yeah, so now it's kinda like I'm thinking like, well, who could they bring in to be the coach? You're still paying I think you're still paying John Gruden. I think you're still paying Josh McDaniels. You're still paying Antonio Pierce. You're gonna have to pay another coach? Your connection, well, can't hear you.
That goes back to the comment I made a few minutes ago. Like, do you want to be one of these college football teams that has 4 or 5 head coaches on the payroll that are no longer coaching for the team? And then, you're going to turn around, you're going to tell Geno Smith to go away, and you're going to pay Geno Smith too. Like, I get at some point in time, you got to stick with somebody, but stick with the right decision. Like, Pete was never the right decision. I got it in the very beginning because after the situation they went through with Antonio Pierce last year, they kind of wanted to get an experienced guy in the room, an adult in the room, so to speak. No disrespect to that man because that was his first head coach, opportunity. You guys look worse in certain aspects under Pete Carroll.
Yeah, the team to me looked better last year under Antonio Pierce than what it does under Pete Carroll. The only difference is that Pete's chewing gum on the sidelines
And walking fast.
and walking fast, pacing back and forth.
I love the Raiders, man. I was a big Raiders fan as a kid. I always want to see the Raiders relevant, man.
Well, it's been a long
Jeez,
time.
man.
It's been a long time since they been relevant, and we'll see. We're talking off season already with this football team. All right, let's keep the show rolling. Let's talk about your Detroit Lions, Walt. They lost to the Eagles 16-9, despite outgaining Philadelphia 317 yards to 272 yards. Detroit failed to convert on all 5 fourth down attempts. You guys give the Eagles a short field essentially all night.
Yeah, let's not skew those numbers. There was a 40-yard touchdown for Jameson Williams, I'm not mistaken, and
Hmm.
Jahmyr Gibbs ripped off a couple 20-plus yard runs. Outside of those 2 big plays, offense didn't do much of anything. Now, the fourth down plays, I didn't like it at all. I felt like he should have had a better gauge on the temperature of the game and the direction it was going. It was a windy night. The Eagles been offensively struggling the last few weeks outside of that Minnesota game they had where they kind of broke out and Jalen Hurts had his best game this season outside of that Rams game. But the Eagles been struggling offensively. They struggled against us. And instead of you saying, hey, you know what? The Eagles are being the Eagles again offensively tonight. We might can win this game with field goals. You decide to keep doing things your way because he said numerous times when asked about this in his pressers here in Detroit, does after multiple games of having fourth down conversions not work out, would you do things differently, Dan? Would you manage the game a little differently? No, he doubles down. He consistently doubles down on, well, this is who we are. This is how we coach. This is how we play. This is what our players understand. Like, no, like you can't consider game management to be passive. It can't work that way. It can't. And what if this was a playoff game? Like that game felt like a playoff game. The score kind of was like a playoff game. And if it was a playoff game, you embarrassed the shit out of us. And I love Dan Campbell, but I'm not one of these fans that feels like I have to ride or die for everyone that wears my uniform and I can't be objective. Like I can be objective. I can like you as a head coach, love you as a head coach, but still say, yeah, that wasn't cool at all. I think he gave the game away. I also think that Jared Goff on a national stage again against a big opponent proves why this team has a ceiling that they can't get over. And for fans here, I get it. Fans here love this guy because for a team that hadn't won a playoff game since 1991, dogs barking, since
Yeah,
1991,
agree with
you're in a
you.
situation where this guy came in and in 5 years, he got us 2 playoff wins. So we love him. Like, no, there's levels to this. And to say mobility for a quarterback in 2025 is overrated, I think is idiotic. Nobody says you have to be Lamar Jackson. Nobody says you have to be Josh Allen, putting your team on your back, scoring 6 touchdowns. But if you're a $50 million franchise quarterback, and your team can't depend on you to pull them out of a jam to save your life, what are you really? Like 9-6. Now, I don't want to get fired up about this, but
Go ahead.
it was a 9-6 game at halftime, and it felt like we didn't have a shot to win. That's pathetic. You go back to the Green Bay game week 1. It was if I'm not mistaken, it was a 17-6 game, I think, third quarter. And it felt like we didn't have a chance to win at all. The Kansas City Chiefs game felt like these are all close games that you and your offense was held under 20 points in all of them, except for the Minnesota game where you came within 3 minutes of being held under 20 points to Minnesota.
Look, when you're on the road, you take the points. You take the points, especially when you're playing against a good football team. And the defense did their job for most of the game. Well, you take the points. I know Dan Campbell took over the play calling last week, right? But to me, it's kind of like he's a little bit over his head at this point. To me, right? Is he going to keep on calling plays the rest of the season? I don't know. But yeah, man, you got to take the points. And you guys kicked the field goal towards the end of the game. I think it was 54 yards. And I know it was a windy night there in Philadelphia, but you got to kick the three, keep it closer than it was. And I know that there was a really bad holding penalty on the Lions at the end of the game. But I mean, to me, it just felt like they were not going to win the game.
There wasn't. You can't play bad offense for 57, 58 minutes of the game and then think, hey, well, this was a bad call. We got jobbed. Like, no, that's not the way it works. And it's funny because, people say, well, the defense needs to do this or do that. The defense been doing a damn job all season. One thing I'm not going to let fans do in order to scapegoat and pretty much at least shield Dan Campbell and Jared Goff of all criticism is blame the defense. Because if you look at this defense this season so far, even outside of that game, they stood up and did their damn job against Philly. They did jobs against who is it? Minnesota, Bay, Kansas City. The offense didn't do their job. Because you look at this defense right now, they're 10th in the league in scoring. They're 5th in yards. They're 7th in first downs given up. They're 8th in passing yards given up. They're also, they're 8th in yard. They're 8th in the league against the run. And they're 9th in the league in rushing touchdowns given up. So this team defensively is top 10 in multiple categories. But people want to put more pressure on the defense. Like, I'm not letting that happen. And we do this in this town, I think, too much. In order to shield Jared Goff of criticism or shield Dan Campbell of criticism, fans here like to point the finger at every damn body else. Well, it's Aiden Hutchinson's fault because he didn't get any sacks. Well, it's Penei Sewell's fault, the All-Pro, because he's not doing enough. How about your $50 million quarterback does something? And like I said, I think it's not cool for a fan base to just look at their quarterback as, well, as long as we don't let them get pressured, we're fine. Like, that's not realistic in the NFL at all. You're going to go against teams. First of all, it's a copycat league. Even defenses that don't get pressure, you know what they're going to do when they play Detroit? They're going to look at what Green Bay did. They're going to look at what Philly did. They're going to say, oh, this stiff under center doesn't like the move. Well, we'll just collapse the pocket on him. He can't go anywhere. We'll just get in his face. He can't do anything. And this is what happens routinely. Fans see this here. They see this every time there's a big game against a quality opponent, and they just turn a blind eye to it. Well, we'll be okay. We'll blow out the Giants next week. And then we'll blow out the Packers, and we'll win 7 straight. We'll be okay. Like, that's not the way the world works. And I think that he's a good quarterback. He does a lot of things well. He does nothing exceptional or great. You see in that win last night, Josh Allen probably would have been carving up the Eagles in that wind. Goff can't do that in that type of weather at all. He had the gloves on. He can't move. So when you have a quarterback that's so physically limited, I don't understand how fans don't see that they have a ceiling with that. I've talked to countless people outside the state of Michigan because it seems like the only people who believe this man can get the job done live in Michigan. But when I talk to people outside the state of Michigan about my team, everybody seems to have the same take. You guys are nice. I like the running backs, wide receivers. You guys got pieces on defense. Branch is a stud, Hutchinson. But that quarterback holding y'all back, man. Everybody sees that except for these idiots here. And I'm calling them idiots because they're talking like idiots now. Because they're drunk off of 2 playoff wins. And I talked to you about this in the pre-show. When you're dealing with a fan base that's not used to having anything, it's poor man syndrome. If you're homeless and somebody walks up to you and hands you $10 and says, hey, come with me, I'm going to get you something to eat. You may love that person for the rest of your life. But are you going to get that $10 and maybe get on the bus and go get yourself a job or whatever and clean yourself up? Are you gonna say, "Well, no, I got this $10. I'm loyal to the guy that gave me those $10, and I'm not used to having anything, so I gotta stay loyal to this." That's really what this fan base has, poor man syndrome. They're so used to not having the damn thing that when Jared Goff came here and delivered 2 playoff wins in 5 years, something we hadn't seen since 1991, these people make him untouchable. Well, we won with him, so why wouldn't we be able to win big with him? That's not really the way it works. And like I said, the biggest indictment on him is that Sean McVay looked him in the face and told him, "I can't win with you." And then traded for the guy that was here and immediately won with that guy.
And let's be honest, he sent him to Detroit to for his career to end, essentially.
Yeah,
Let's be honest about it.
he did. I don't think he hated golf or anything like that, but it was about doing
But
what's best for the organization. Yeah, it was. Yeah, so
but how do
I
you fix
argue
it
with
though? How
Lions
do you
fans
fix it?
about this, man.
Look,
There's
right
no
if the
fixing it.
playoff well, if the playoffs started today, you guys would be out. But unfortunately for you, it's not the end of the year, right? You guys have a winnable game against the Giants, which you guys might blow them out. You guys are playing them at home. But how do you fix these issues the rest of the way
I don't think
this
they're
year?
fixable. For one, losing Frank Ragnow, an all-pro center, I think 3 weeks before the season started hurt very, very much. They went out and they added 2 young pieces in the draft in Tate Ratledge from Georgia and Miles Frazier from LSU. Frazier hasn't played all season. He's on the roster. He's on the active roster now, so they have 2 more weeks, I believe, to play him. But and then Graham Glasgow's a guy who was more of a swing guy. You could kind of hide him around some good talent. Can't hide him anymore. So you took Graham and played him out of position at center. He's getting destroyed on a weekly basis. And, you're dependent. Even Christian Mahogany. Christian Mahogany was a guy out of Boston College, had big high hopes for. Plays decent last season, but he can't stay healthy. He's done for the season. So you're kind of in a situation where you're depending on 3 young interior offensive linemen, 2 rookies because Ratledge is hurt right now, if I'm not mistaken.
Mhm.
But you're depending on 3 young players to anchor the interior of your offensive line. They're getting more experience as the season goes on, but I don't see these guys getting any better until camp and going into next season. And Jared Goff isn't going to become mobile out the blue. He's not going to all of a sudden decide to start gunning the ball downfield and taking more chances. He is what he is. You paid the money to him, and when you pay money to that type of quarterback, it's now up to you as an organization to make sure you build everything around him to make sure he has as much success as possible. But it's kind of unrealistic, I think, in this day and age to look at any football team and say, it's 11 on 11, but you 10 guys right here, you better be perfect in order for him to be good. And if you're not perfect, he's not good and we can't win. So you're putting pretty much all the responsibility on 10 men and making this other guy completely exempt from criticism. So, you're in a situation, you're Detroit, you're kind of stuck. Now, ultimately, I think the major question is, do they ever reach a Sean McVay situation where, okay, you know what? We have the guts to say, if we want to win big, we have to move on from you. We love you, but we got to move on from you.
You guys paid him the money. You guys are stuck with them at least for the next couple of seasons. So I don't see Jared Goff going anywhere. Now, the Bears right now are in first place in that division, right? You guys still obviously you guys still have a chance to win the division, but man, it's just what we saw Sunday. It's got to be better. I mean, the play calling's got to be better. You can't go for it on fucking fourth down every time. You can't do it, man. You're not gonna win. You take the points. Can't you just can't do it. You cannot go for it on every fourth down. Only if
I
you
think
have
this is a
to.
very
And
humbling experience for this fan base and for the GM as well.
yeah, so we will see what Detroit does. And again, they do play the Giants on Sunday at home. So, we'll see if Jackson Dart's back. All right, let's talk about the quarterback that is getting it done in Buffalo, Josh Allen. Allen accounted for 6 total touchdowns, 3 passing, 3 rushing, and Buffalo's wild win against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 44-2. I mean, Josh Allen did everything for the Bills.
Yeah, Josh Allen always does everything for the Bills. He's an elite quarterback you can be proud of. He's not a fake elite quarterback. He's a guy when his team needs him at his best and they need him to pull them out of a tight squeeze, he can do it. Not saying every quarterback around is Josh Allen. Everybody's not 5'2", 40 and can run and throw a football 3 miles, but Josh Allen showed you why people view him the way they do. Now, Buffalo, their situation is different from Detroit. Detroit has the team around Allen. I mean, Allen. Detroit has the team around Jared Goff, but they don't have a Josh Allen. Buffalo has a Josh Allen, but they don't have the team around him. So everything is pretty much win or lose on his right arm, his body, and his legs, for that matter. But yeah, Josh is tremendous. Josh is tremendous. I keep going back to Lions fans, but the Josh Allen comparison came up today.
Whoa, hold on.
How in your right mind can you ever
How?
compare Jared Goff to Josh Allen?
How?
No, well, you know what? These people here have this mind made up. They have this idea that, well, neither of them have Super Bowls, so they're in the same boat.
Hold on. Can you imagine Josh Allen with St. Brown, Jameson Williams, Sam Laporta, Jameer Gibbs? I mean,
I can, but these fans here, they love Jared Goff so much, it wouldn't shock me if they said they would rather have him over Josh Allen.
that's crazy.
No, it's very crazy, but when you're dealing with fans who are impoverished and you give them $10 and they're gonna hold on to that $10 for 2 years if they have to. But like I said, man, Josh is he's the complete opposite. Now he could be one and done if his defense doesn't give him something. He's got a decent rushing attack. The offensive line hasn't been that good either. But he's a guy. He's going to carry Buffalo to the playoffs. Now I think that division should get 2 teams in. New England's going to get in more than likely, unless they have a complete collapse down the stretch.
Yeah,
New England
I don't
should,
see
yeah,
it.
New England should get to 12 wins. They should be able to get to 12 wins. You look at the rest of their schedule. Buffalo should be able to get to 11, maybe. So that should be enough for them to get in. Maybe more than that. I'm not sure. But you look around the rest of the AFC. The Chiefs are struggling right now. Looks like that division is going to get one team in. The North may get one team in, and of course the South for damn sure only getting one team in. Boom. I think it's an indictment on a lot of quarterbacks around the league. Like I say, everybody doesn't have a Josh Allen, but you should be able to depend on your quote unquote franchise quarterback to get you out of some tight situations. Nobody's saying it's lead us back from a 30-0 deficit, but a 9-6 deficit should be enough for even the most averagest quarterback to get you back into a game. But shout out to Josh Allen for being Josh Allen.
Yeah, man, he's great. I mean, he does everything for Buffalo, and if he wasn't with the Bills, probably looking at team 500.
Yeah, I mean, he's a Bill for life though.
Yeah, maybe
Unless,
not.
the
Maybe
Raiders come with
yeah.
some first round picks or something.
You read my mind. I hope they trade into the
You know
Raiders,
how much it would
but
cost to get him?
I don't care.
Like
Back it
if
up.
he decided he wanted out of Buffalo, you know how much it would cost to get him?
Trade everyone besides Max Crosby and Brock Bowers. Get rid of
Gotta
everyone.
throw in somebody.
Trade him.
I want
Trade
5
Mark
first
Davis
round picks.
too. Trade him too. Get rid of Mark
I want
Davis.
5 first round picks, guy.
You got it. John Spytek, get it done. All right, let's move along. Let's talk about the Broncos' big win over the Chiefs, 22-9. Bo Nix made some plays towards the end of the game and set up the winning field goal late in the game. Chiefs are struggling, obviously, right now. And things are not looking good for them.
Nah, not at all. This is a team that we talked about the last 2 years, actually 3 years. Ever since Tyreek Hill left, this is an offense that's been slowly getting worse and worse every season. Now, they've been a little bit better this season, but they still haven't been good. They've just managed to out-execute a lot of teams. But I think just out-executing teams is only going to get you so far for so long. On a year-to-year basis, everybody gets more talent via free agency, via the NFL draft. Teams get notebooks on you. For sure, they got the film on you. They know what you like, what you don't like. Your players, your best players get older. Kelsey is older. Chris Jones is older. Some of their best players don't look as good as they used to 2 or 3 years ago. And when you play the style of football they play, I compare it to Philadelphia. Like, even if Philly wins the Super Bowl this year, I think we could see that type of fall off from them next year. It's like, how much do you really plan on making a living off of beating teams 10-7 and 16-9 and stuff like that? That's not something that you can actually just depend on a game-to-game, year-to-year basis. So even like I said, for Philly, if Philly don't get their stuff together, they're going to find themselves in the same situation Kansas City is in next year. But I think everybody caught up to them. Honestly,
Man.
teams played, you're the Chiefs. Everybody plays you super hard. And, if you're not getting any easy points, they don't get any layups either. Everything is so long and drawn out with them. Is it over this season? It's a good possibility. I don't think their window is closed at all. But, even as a championship level team, you can have a season here and there where you miss the playoffs, 8-8, something like that. 9 wins, maybe you miss out the last game of the season, but they'll be back next season, I guess. unless Andy
Well,
Reid walks away or something else happens.
well, I mean, Travis Kelsey might retire at the end of the year. I think he kind of said that he was coming back for this season. Who knows if he's back next year? But with the Chiefs, I mean, we're talking about a football team that they won a lot of these one possession games last season, and this year they're not, right? I mean, we both picked the Chiefs to win on Sunday. We were wrong. Bo Nix played well. He did. He made plays when he needed to. And yeah, man, Chiefs are in trouble. And the Broncos are, I think they're going to win the AFC West.
Yeah, I mean, if you're Kansas City, how do you approach this?
You got to
And like I said,
win.
I
You
think
got
a
to
lot
win
of it
out.
comes back to yeah, but they don't play explosive enough football or opportunistic enough football to win out. So you want to win out playing their style of football like they played against Denver a couple days ago, and that's not guaranteed to happen either. So in order for them to make the playoffs, they got to win that division. I think that's kind of clear.
But here's the problem though, Walt. I don't think they're gonna win the division because I don't see Denver losing, 5 games the rest of the way. I really don't. Um, the problem is gonna be the Monday night loss that they had against Jacksonville when Trevor Lawrence fell on the ground and then he got back up and he ran it in the end zone. That's gonna be the problem for this team because that game is gonna cost you now, more than likely. Yeah, they're just I don't know, man. It just they look a little bit older. I mean, this team has played what 19, 20 games the last what? How many years?
They look
6,
tired. I said that
7,
last
8?
year. Like this team has played a ton of football, a ton of primetime games. They've been across the water a few times. Speaking of that, I think that Charger game too. Even though people didn't make a big deal about it, it was the first game of the season. No big deal. You never want to lose a divisional game, whether it's across the water. I don't care where it's at.
Yeah.
It still counts. Even if the Chargers like every game now that we're in this 17 game format, literally every single divisional game matters. And you can't have any giveaways.
Conference games too. I mean, they matter as
Yeah.
well because now if you look at Kansas City situation, that loss against Jacksonville, also beat the crap out of the Chargers on Sunday. It wasn't even close. So I mean, that might be something that might come back and bite the Chargers in the rear end because I think Denver's going to win the AFC West. Their defense is elite. Offense, they do have some issues. J.K. Dobbins is going to be out the rest of the year with that foot injury. But Kansas City Chiefs' problem too, they can't run the ball.
No, you're right. They can't run the football. They want to be a speed wide receiver offense, but none of those guys can stay healthy or catch the ball consistently enough. Rashi Rice recently came back. He's got to get his feet under him. He doesn't look explosive at all. He looks a little heavy to me,
Yep.
honestly. Like I said, man, the Chiefs, we can't come down on them too hard because they still been winning the last few years. They haven't been winning to their full potential, I believe, or playing to their full potential. They took care of the defense for sure during the draft the past few years. They failed Patrick Mahomes as far as rebuilding his offensive line. Even though I think Josh Simmons is a really good player, you never got him a legit number one running back. I was a guy that was in favor of them trading up to get Bijan Robinson a couple years ago. I
Yep.
felt a guy like him or Jameer Gibbs could really extend Patrick Mahomes' career. You didn't do that. You chose to keep going running back by committee, and that hasn't worked out for you. So you never did even upgrade the tight end position. They haven't went out and drafted a young tight end to replace this man. So it's like you put all your eggs in one basket with the defense and you've ignored your all pro quarterback. So you're kind of wasting some valuable time right now with him. So I think this is going to be a very crucial offseason coming up for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Chiefs next couple games Sunday at Indianapolis, and then a short week on Thanksgiving Day against Cowboys. So they need to win these next couple games. They really do. I mean, I don't know. They're down this year.
No, they're definitely down. They're definitely down. This feels funny seeing Kansas City not in the hunt. Well, technically they're in the hunt.
They're in the hunt still,
Yeah,
but I mean, it's getting close to being over. And you know what? I'm glad about it.
I'm sure.
Really am. All right, Walt.
Can't
So let's.
can't beat them, root against them.
That's right. All right, so the Browns fall to the Ravens as Shador Sanders made his official NFL debut as Dylan Gabriel suffered a concussion. Shador Sanders comes in, and it just didn't look good.
No, I didn't. I don't know what to really make of it. I think a lot of people, the Shador Sander haters out there, they were happy and applauding. I don't know what you expected the guy to do in that situation coming in off the bench. He had a couple nice completions. He had one real big completion to Harold Fannin Jr., the young tight end. And then, nothing else seemed to work out. He had a bad interception. But, it's gonna be interesting to see what happens this week coming up. Now, if he's gonna play,
He
he'll
is.
have a full week of practice.
He will be the starting quarterback, and guess who they played? They played the Raiders in Vegas.
Man, somebody's getting fired after this game. No, I'm
Yeah.
joking. I don't
Well,
hope
yeah, you
anybody
never
gets
know.
fired.
I mean, you don't, but I mean, it is on table.
I will say this, you text me when it happened. I was watching it live. I was at the gym
I
watching it
told you.
live.
I predicted
I got
that in
chills,
the
man.
pregame.
I got chills, man.
I
And
told you.
and I did because it was great to see that fan base behind him like that. When he checked into the game, it was good. I was rooting for him bad because the thing is this, man. People killing this kid. They've been killing this kid for so long, and not for him not saying a damn thing. Like
And you
people
know
been
what?
still
And you know
talking
what makes it
trash about
worse
him all year.
is during the game, his house got robbed. They stole like $200,000 worth of stuff out of his house when he was playing.
Yeah, and there were people on social media laughing at it.
That's
The
crazy.
level of hate some of these people have is pathetic, man. It is. But like I said, he checked in, he got his opportunity, he got his feet wet. He's got a full week now to get ready for the Raiders. And at the end of the day, it's still another NFL game, whether it's the Raiders or it's the New England Patriots or it's the Philadelphia Eagles. But like I said, I'm just glad to see him get the opportunity because he's taking a beating. It's like it's rough because the kid has kept his mouth shut since he's been in Cleveland. He says, for the most part, he says all the right things, but when people don't like you, they will sit up and they will pick apart any and everything you say just so they can trash you. The kid's a third string quarterback, keeping his mouth shut, taking the snaps that's given to him in practice, and you got people in the media still killing the kid. You got fans still killing him. There's a part to it, a point to it. I think of some people just want to see him fail, and rooting to see someone fail, especially a young kid, I think says less about you as a human being than it does him as a person. But he's got the confidence that he's got his dad. It was a great scene. It was a great scene. Now, at the end of the day, the Ravens are playing for more. So the Ravens said, "No, that's cute, Shador, but we need this W."
Yeah.
So we're gonna run. Mark Andrews ran himself into the end zone and nobody could
Mhm.
catch him. So yeah, it's Ravens got the win, but it was like I said, that moment that
It
he
was a
should
close
have taken
game.
it. Yeah,
And how
definitely.
many sacks did Myles Garrett have on Sunday? Was it like 4 or 5?
Thought it was 4.
Something crazy. Man, Myles Garrett's a beast.
He doing his job.
Yeah, he is. But the rest of the team's not. Well, good luck to Shador the rest of the way this season, but just not on Sunday when he plays against the Raiders.
Yeah, absolutely not. Shador versus Geno Smith, huh? The
Oh,
guy he was
man.
compared to coming out of college.
That might flex that game to Sunday Night Football.
It would well,
Mm,
if the game was on ESPN, they probably would. They love a good ticket draw, so they
mm.
probably would have flexed and marketed Shador all week long. Yeah, they ain't flexing the game though.
No, they're not.
But I'm gonna be watching. I'm definitely gonna watch.
All right, let's talk about the NFC West matchup of the week. Between the Rams and the Seahawks. Rams pulled off the victory against Seattle 28-17. Sam Darnold had his worst game as a member of the Seahawks on Sunday with 0 touchdown passes, 4 interceptions, and a 21-19 loss against the Rams.
Rams keep on ramming. I expected a closer game to that. I expected Darnold to play a little bit better than that, given the fact that Rams secondary hasn't been good all season. But they put pressure on them. That's one thing the Rams can do. They shook him up a little bit, didn't let Sam get comfortable, and Sam looked average. I mean, Sam looked pretty good all year though so far. But it's that was a concern of mine with the Seattle. Me and you talked about this last week. You throw the ball really well, you run the ball well, you take the ball away on defense, you stop the run at an elite level, but you turn the ball over and you have a quarterback that nobody trusts. And until Darnold exercises those demons from the last 2 games from last season, big games matter. And in his last 2 big games, well, outside of that Rams game was a big game this past weekend, but outside of that, you're talking about a guy who went to Detroit with the division on the line, lost 31-9, and then he turned around a week later, went to the Rams, and then the Rams handed his head to him. So if you're Sam Darnold, I don't think anybody really cares about the regular season and how well you play, because until you play better in the postseason, they're going to still view you as that New York Jets Sam Darnold.
Yeah. Seattle's defense did play well, though.
Yeah, they
They
did.
kept them in the game.
But he couldn't pull the team out of a tight squeeze. Huh?
The Rams seemed like they got his number. Last 2 games he's played against them, he hasn't looked good.
Well, Stafford's a gamer too. Stafford didn't play great, in that game, but I'm riding with Stafford, man. If I got to go to war with a quarterback in the playoffs, if we start talking about all those quarterbacks in the NFC, I'm riding with them.
Yeah, I know that. That's your guy. I know. Detroit. Gotta say together.
No, no, I like Stafford. I think Stafford's a gamer, man.
No, he is. Good quarterback is playing well this season. All right, well, let's talk about some key injuries from this week. So obviously we talked about J.K. Dobbins. He's going to be out the rest of the year with the left foot sprain. He's going to get surgery. Packers running back Josh Jacobs had a knee injury in that win against the Giants. He is considered week to week. Falcons, Michael Penix Jr. Knee injury. I think it's an ACL. He's probably done for the year. And Steelers quarterback Aaron Rodgers, a wrist injury, but will not require surgery. So we'll see how long he's going to be out for. And obviously, the Aaron Rodgers one's big. Also, Michael Penix. We saw Kirk come in the game. He just doesn't like himself anymore. Looks like he can't throw the ball far anymore. But yeah, that Michael Penix one is just it's big.
Yeah, it's big for them. Falcons don't look like a playoff team this year, but
But
you
like, how do you blow out Buffalo at home and then you lose in a close game to the Patriots, and then you lose this game against the Panthers, and then that
got
close
swept
game
by the
against the Colts
Panthers.
too. Yep.
Yeah, I was never the biggest Michael Penix fan coming out of college. I got the opportunity to see him play when he was at Indiana. Well, I will say this before because people forget he had 2 knee surgeries in college. So prior to the knee surgeries, Penix did move. He did move around a decent amount. But right now, and you factor in this injury he suffered now, he didn't move at all. Like he even when he was at Washington before he came out of college, he didn't move at all at Washington. And if you notice him this year, even last year when he came in towards the end of the season, it's hard. And I say the same thing about Jared Goff. It's hard to play a quarterback, I think, in this day and age that does nothing but stand on one platform and just fire footballs. That's what he does. He stands at one spot and he fires football. He doesn't move much. He doesn't run for a first down unless you absolutely force him to. And he doesn't create a lot of easier lanes for himself, windows for himself. Everything is from the pocket, behind the center, stationary, fire fastballs. And it's gonna be rough, man. Like I said, and was it how many knee surgeries is that now for him total?
Well, it's
4?
gonna be three or
3
four.
or 4? Yeah.
You think it's done?
Falcons did it. It's hard to say. I don't think so because the Falcons invested a pick in him, high pick in
Well,
him.
no, but I mean for him. I mean, do you really?
Like he's done, like he's won.
He's physically. I mean, you
It's
got to
possible.
imagine. I mean, two knee, a surgery in each knee, and now potentially a second one.
Yeah. I think it's possible once these guys have the opportunity to stay home for a few months and spend more time with their wives, they start talking to their wives and their family a little bit more. Now, his thing is he hasn't played long enough to make enough money, probably to consider walking away. I don't know. I just think that it was a bad move all around. You gave all of that money to Kirk Cousins, then you turned around and you drafted his replacement. So you created a very uneasy, toxic sort of locker room situation between your starter and your backup. Kirk did not play well. I'm pretty sure he wasn't happy about that. Kirk got hurt
I
before
don't
he
know if
wasn't
he's.
playing.
I don't know if he's physically able to do it anymore, Kirk.
No, you're right. Right. So you're a team that's after 1.5 years, you might possibly be sitting there with no quarterback.
Well, I mean, and then Kirk's going to be on the team next year unless you trade him and you eat some of the money. But that's a lot, right? And also, too, Raheem Morris. I don't think he's there next year.
Yeah,
It's
I
hard
kinda
for
agree with that.
it's hard for me to see him being the coach of the Falcons next season.
No, I get it. I get it. Well, it's been what, 1 year?
No, it's been 2.
Arthur's been gone that long?
Yeah,
Damn. Well,
time
I'm only off.
flies.
Yeah, he's over there in Pittsburgh as the offensive coordinator. The Falcons are just one of those enigmas. Like, you look at the offensive line, you look at the running back room they got, you look at the wide with some of the weapons they got. Drake London's a stud. Kyle Pitts
That
shows flashes of study.
he's hurt too, by the way. Drake London's probably going to be out a couple weeks, and that's going to hurt my fantasy football team.
Yeah.
So not
I
very
mean,
happy about that.
you finally landed and we actually hit on some pass rushers on defense. So they got that going. Like, the Falcons have a lot going for themselves. I don't know if it's upper management. Well, part of it is upper management because they made some poor decisions over the last couple years.
And,
Well, at least they didn't pay Deshaun Watson.
well, and then
'Cause it
we
could have went that way.
but we also talked about what they did in last year's draft when the Rams traded their first round pick to the Falcons, and now the Rams are in a really good position. It kind of seems like they're probably going to get a top 10 pick in next year's draft.
Absolutely. So when it rains, it pours, and it looks like everything's going against Atlanta right now.
It does.
But something's wrong. Something's wrong there. And that's another team that, if you decide to fire Raheem Morris, because it seems to be easy to fire him and Steve Wilkes and any other black coach for that matter. If you do step away from Raheem Morris, it's like, okay, so what do you do next? I think it's a very attractive job though. The problem is you don't have a quarterback. If you're a head coach out there and you looking at Atlanta, what's the biggest question you have? Because for me, it's okay, Kirk can't be my starter. I'm not tying my coaching career to Kirk Cousins or Michael Penix. So what in the hell is the plan? And you're not going to go invest another high pick in a quarterback. For one, you can't. You don't have the pick. And for two, I don't know if anybody out there heard recently or today, but over the past few days, there's been a lot circulating about the big name quarterbacks in this year's draft potentially going back to college. Sellers from South Carolina, Dante Moore from Oregon, John Mateer, Oklahoma, Arch Manning, even though Arch Manning hasn't played like a first round pick this year, but there's been word that all of these big name quarterbacks could possibly go back to college. Also, could that help you in 2027? That draft potentially, but you're kind of stuck right now. If you're a guy looking, they may be in a situation where they have to keep Raheem Morris because ultimately you can't really sell that job to anyone unless it's a guy who, like you say this all the time. There's only 32 jobs, right? You can always find somebody to take your job. But is it the employee you want?
Yeah. All right. Well, so before we end tonight's show, I didn't want to get into the whole Jalen Ramsey and Jamar Chase situation from Sunday. So Jalen Ramsey was ejected from Sunday's game for punching Bengals wide receiver Jamar Chase after Chase spit on him. We didn't know this at the time, right? We just saw him punch Jamar and then he got thrown out. Well, there's video out there where you clearly see Jamar Chase spitting at Jalen Ramsey. So now he will be suspended 1 game. He will not suit up for the Bengals on Sunday when they play against.
You like his reaction when the media, when the, the reporter asked him, Did you spit on Jalen Ramsey? I ain't open my mouth towards that guy. And then they cut away to the. It was funny. It was when these guys spit with their face mask on, the helmet on. You see the spit come out and they get caught on the face. Who the hell did you really think it was gonna get through those cracks and go straight to him? And
Yeah, that's crazy.
I don't get the whole spitting on people thing. Period. I've been in a lot of fights in my day, at least back when I was a youngster.
I believe
And
you.
I never whatever, you probably been in some scraps in the neighborhood, but spitting on another man never crossed my mind ever.
That's disrespectful.
It's beyond disrespectful, and if you
Yeah.
spit on someone, they got every right to handle you the way they choose to handle you. I remember kids spit on me in 4th grade. I remember all the way back to 4th grade. Kids spit on me in 4th grade when we was outside in recess. Needless to say, we both ended up in the office.
Did you
His
get
nose was
suspended?
broken. Yeah, of
Did
course.
they ask you, did you
We
break his nose?
I
By the
said
way,
yes.
we don't promote violence on the show, real quick. Just let everyone out
We
there.
don't. We don't promote
No.
spitting on people either, though.
No.
It was 4th grade me. Come on, man. But yeah, I don't get it all. Me and my brother was talking about this earlier. I just don't understand the mindset of spitting on another man. I don't. Well, women shouldn't be doing it either.
Yeah, no.
But for a
No.
man to spit on another man, if it seems very feminine to me
And
and downright
he
disgusting and trifling.
and he hurt his team because he won't be available on Sunday. And let's be honest here, they gotta start winning some games if they want Joe to come back. Now, he is
They
expected to
ain't
come
winning
back
nothing.
next week on Thursday
Okay,
against Baltimore, Thanksgiving Day.
bring them back, huh?
Who knows? All right, with that being said, oh, you know what? Actually, sorry, real quick. Thursday night football. Bills, Texans. Who do you got?
Oh, at
CJ
Houston.
Stroud. CJ Stroud is out, by the way, still in concussion protocol. So Davis Mills is going to be the starting quarterback again for the Texans.
Good old Davis Mills. I'm taking Buffalo.
Give me Buffalo as well. All right. Thank you, everyone out there, for watching, and we'll talk to you guys next week.